To me, it's about not just using AI, it's about embedding AI into the operating model, workflows, decision, risk. It really needs to be in our culture. So it needs to be embedded into the culture. This helps us scale. And it's important that AI is seen to be working with a human. So it's augmenting humans. So you have a human and machine can achieve an awful lot more than on their own. Back to the coding example, that is a real game changer. You can see performance, productivity improvements of around 20% already, and I believe that's only going to increase as the technology evolves over time. So the ultimate goal is to help our teammates grow with AI. They're not going to be replaced with it, but they can grow and do so much more. To your point, the roles will evolve as the technology evolves. And back to the culture we talked about at the beginning of the conversation, we're embedding that learning into our day-to-day workflow. So practical upskilling, real use case, and also responsible. We shouldn't forget the word responsible adoption. I think the really, really key thing that you must do is governance, responsible AI. It's very easy to go off track. You need those stringent governance structures to keep you honest. Make sure you are working with your risk partners, making sure you understand the risk and everything is documented, and that these AI solutions that we want to start looking at always have a human being in the loop. To me, the most important part would be that augmentation of AI to help the human beings deliver more with less.
Welcome to the AI Adoption Podcast. I'm your host, Professor Ashley Braganza, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome Andy Price from Bank of America to this episode. Andy, just to get started, could I ask you to introduce yourself, your role in Bank of America, and of course, most people know Bank of America, but just a very quick thumbnail sketch, please.
Sure, and thanks for having me, Ashley, today. So my name's Andy Price. I've worked for Bank of America for about 16 years now. I'm based in Paris, in France, and I'm head of technology and operations for our French legal entity.
Andy, I guess just thinking about not just Bank of America, but also just the whole of the financial services sector is investing very heavily in technology. And clearly a significant amount of that is being directed to AI investments and all the capabilities that go with AI. I just wondered, why do you think sustained investment in AI is so critical to ensuring success in this area?
Thanks for the question. That's a really good question, actually. So if I talk about the bank specifically first, so for us at the bank, technology, it's the operating backbone of the bank. We use it everywhere in payments, markets, treasury, risk, etc., etc. All of these services rely on resilient systems. Our client expectations get higher and higher. They expect reliability, speed, a seamless and personalized digital experience. So we need to keep investing to protect our uptime and performance, and obviously a bank of our size for scale as well. But it's not just about that. It's also security. We've all read about cyber security, the regulators and the regulation that keeps evolving and evolving it on an annual basis. So we need to continuously invest to make sure we, A, stay compliant with our regulators globally across the world, also to be secure, because we have our clients' money, we need to protect that money. We have to make sure we are secure from a cyber perspective. Also data, a lot of people talk about data. Data volumes are growing exponentially. We need to continually invest in these, both in infrastructure and with generative AI, with compute power, to make sure we can manage that data with integrity and accuracy. And I think in order to finish the answer, Ashley, sustained investment, this is what turns innovation into enterprise-grade capabilities that, again, from a client lens, they improve our client outcomes, speed, quality, responsiveness. And I mentioned clients now expect this personalized service with this technology and sustained investment we're able to do.
Andy, thanks for that explanation. But I wondered, are there outcomes that you're already seeing AI deliver for clients?
Absolutely, there's definite outcomes, and we as a bank, we've actually been doing artificial intelligence since about 2018 using our flagship product called Erica. Erica is an AI solution that started from the US for online banking, essentially. Where we've evolved this is it's not just a chatbot, it's a platform. And we have leveraged that technology to help with other platforms and solutions within the bank. So we use the underlying technology behind Erica in something called CashPro Chat. So CashPro Chat is a way of communicating with the bank. So there's a platform called CashPro. This is for our corporate clients. So our corporate clients can log on and they can connect directly with the bank in real time. So it gives them a fast and convenient way to ask questions, resolve issue, manage their treasury needs, and they don't have to leave the platform. Everything is in the one platform. This obviously improves responsiveness and client experience. So another solution where we've used AI is a system called AskGPS. This has an indirect benefit to clients. So as an example, a client would ring up, an employee would answer the phone, a client would ask a question, the employee within the bank would search through thousands of documents to try to find the answer to that question. This would take time. There can be frustration. What we've done is AskGPS will do the work for us. So the employee still will ask the question, but they will ask it to the AI solution, which will do all that hard work and heavy lifting of searching through the thousands of documents, come back to the employee with the answer. The employee can then tell the client. So this obviously makes the experience much better for the client and for the employee as well. That's external clients. If we think of clients as being ourselves, we leveraged the technology that Erica was built on, and we created a tool called Erica for Employees. This tool is incredible. As an employee of the bank, I can go along and I can ask Erica for Employees a question. Might be, can I get a Wi-Fi code? Can I reset my password? Erica for Employees will help me. It will get me that answer. And if it can't get the answer, it will then move and it will go make sure that I'm then talking to a person as opposed to a machine if it can't solve it. So it's the best of both worlds.
Thank you. In your view, Andy, what is it that really separates companies that kind of simply adopt AI from ones that genuinely lead in using AI?
That's a very interesting question. So to me, it's about not just using AI, it's about embedding AI into the operating model, workflows, decision, risk. It really needs to be in our culture. So it needs to be embedded into the culture. This helps us scale. And it's important that AI is seen to be working with a human. So it's augmenting humans. So you have a human and machine can achieve an awful lot more than on their own. I mentioned Erica. This is built into the bank's ecosystem. It's got the right controls, security, accountability. It's a platform in itself. So it's part of the culture of the bank. I think that's really key as opposed to just going and writing AI, getting some vendors in. Every vendor will offer you a fantastic, shiny new tool that promises to be able to do everything. You need to make sure these are reviewed and use the right technology and embed it into your culture, into the whole processing at the firm.
Based on your experience so far, Andy, what insights can you provide in terms of how Bank of America prioritizes AI investments?
That's a very interesting question because everybody wants to do AI. Everybody just wants to try AI for the sake of trying AI. But your question is very, very important because you have to focus on the outcomes, the impact, speed, scale, satisfaction, reducing risk, as an example. If a solution or a question comes up that doesn't solve a real problem, we're not going to scale that. Obviously, we're a huge financial organization. We have hundreds of use cases. But in answer to your question on prioritization, we'll prioritize based on business impact and efficiency. So high volume, manual effort, and we balance that with accuracy and latency. It's not dissimilar to any other technology project. Business impact and efficiency are key. Obviously, the goal, once we've done this, is to reinvest those productivity gains into higher value work. So we may have very, very manual processes that takes 20 or 30 people. Maybe that can be done by 10 people, and the other people can then go and use it more efficiently. They can go and talk to clients in things that AI can't do, but where AI is helping with those manual processes, it frees people up to go and do those human interactions and the things that really matter.
And that's really brings some clarity into how prioritization happens. And once you've got that list of, okay, these are the areas we want to prioritize where AI is used, how do you go about deploying the AI technology, Andy?
So for deployment, obviously risk is a really key factor in that, and we ensure our risk partners and teams are involved in the governance process from inception to productionization to sustainability of these solutions. We have a enterprise platform that this is our generative AI, if we're talking specifically about generative AI, the platform we use, and this will have access to various LLMs. Again, these will all have gone through governance and through our internal controls and processes. And we then will ensure that these are deployed. Usually the deployment would start with a smaller team. We would do that and we would evaluate the benefit. And if the benefit works, we would then do what I talked about earlier on about scaling that solution wider across the enterprise. But we would always make sure we start in a smaller ecosystem before expanding it.
And given the number of people in Bank of America and the global spread that you guys cover, I just wonder, how is AI kind of reshaping the employee experience?
So it's really making a difference. It is, as I said before, it's freeing time up for much higher value work. It reduces friction. If you think of repetitive tasks, searching, summarizing documents, handling documents, workflow steps, all of these are ideal generative AI use cases. For example, maybe it takes a team of people time to create a document, maybe a 100-page, 200-page document to pitch to a client. Now we can use generative AI to help create that document, and more time can go into going and pitching to clients and learning the script to making sure that we can go and have those conversations with knowledge as opposed to just focusing on documents. I mentioned Erica for employees earlier on. This has made a huge difference. This has improved the technical support calls. It's improved the response times. It's hugely made a difference. And not just response times, you don't have to pick a phone up anymore, but also if I use the example, resetting a password, it will be done on the screen in front of you, and it will send a message to your iPad and the password will be reset. So it's really making a difference to our employees as well as externally. And one really important point that is game changing, I think, for the future is the AI support for our developers here at the bank. Now we have AI tools that you can use that will actually help write code. The developer still needs to be involved, but one developer now can have much more impact and write significantly more code with the AI tool. Again, the AI tool augments the developer helping, and they can write more code. Not only can they write more code, they write code consistently. So it can be shared amongst teams easier because it's got that generative AI component. And it also can even help write tests for that code. And it can then, if that code doesn't work properly, it can help by writing the test. And then the generative AI can even go make suggestions to fix the code to pass the test. So that it enables much more productivity for our development community. I think that's a really, really key point.
And I guess the issue around productivity is becoming increasingly important because you're seeing many organizations now looking to invest in AI, but saying, hey, where are these productivity improvements? You've given a couple of examples. I just wondered, are you able to expand on areas of productivity improvements?
So obviously, we at the bank have a large research department. Generative AI can help with research, and it can go across the internet. It can go and look into our own internal documents. It can help, back to the example I gave with that summarization. This is up to now been purely a human task. It's painstakingly, it's time consuming. Now, generative AI can really, really help with that. And you can get through an awful lot more documents, a lot more research reports. It can help write reports. You can do that much more at scale than you could do without generative AI. Back to the coding example, that is a real game changer. You can see performance, productivity improvements of around 20% already, and I believe that's only going to increase as the technology evolves over time.
And I guess when we talk about people and employees, whether it's the government, policymakers, companies of all sizes are really concerned about skills and innovation, and there is quite a spotlight on skills and innovation. How's Bank of America thinking about talent?
So I think with talent, it's really important that as the technology evolves, we evolve with it. So when I was talking about the culture at the bank, we have to train ourselves. We've got numerous training courses and offerings to help train our employees, and we need to become more AI enabled as employees. And what we're finding is the technology is evolving. We are training ourselves, and again, there always has to be human involved in the loop. Generative AI can only do so much. You need that human decision making power, but that human can then do so much more with less because they've got this generative AI helping. So it's really important, and we do that. We upskill our employees within for AI.
And are there specific areas that you can see the upskilling taking place?
I think back to, I know I mentioned it before, I think it's back to the coding part. So if you have a coder who is there and writes 100 lines of code a day, they then have generative AI. Maybe they don't write as many lines of code, but the code can be more efficient and it can be written differently so it can be reusable and used by other developers. So I do feel that that's a really important part of that upskilling. And because developers are obviously very technically capable, they have an interest in this. They can do more with less and quicker and more with more accuracy. So this is where it's really useful.
And I think skills are really important. Of course, coming from a university, I would say that. But I just wondered, are there specific capabilities that as a bank, you're looking particularly to develop and focus on?
The ultimate goal is to help our teammates grow with AI. They're not going to be replaced with it, but they can grow and do so much more. To your point, the roles will evolve as the technology evolves. And back to the culture we talked about at the beginning of the conversation, we're embedding that learning into our day-to-day workflow. So practical upskilling, real use case, and also responsible. We shouldn't forget the word responsible adoption. So AI will enhance skills like research, summarization, analysis, and drafting. All this routine work that we do day to day will be accelerated. So the valuable capabilities that will become more human are things like judgment, critical thinking, trust building, client advisory, handling exceptions, complexity, ethics, risk awareness, and oversight. That's where the human element is so crucial to work with AI, which will help augment that human being.
And that's really important because people and organizations, I should say, use these terms, responsible AI, ethical AI, critical thinking. I just wondered if you could reflect on how is Bank of America kind of bringing those words to life?
So a key message here is responsible AI. That's obviously extremely important. Ethical AI. There's also certain regulators across the globe help us with this. If we think of where I'm based in France, the EU AI Act, one really good example, it's coming out later this year, I believe, that if a machine is answering you and you are talking to a machine, the transparency rule comes into play for the EU AI Act. You must, as a human, know you are talking to a machine, not a person. And that AI must tell you that I am an AI machine talking to you. I'm not a human being. So things like that, that's a transparency obligation that's coming out. That's extremely important. Again, the EU AI Act, we've had to go through over the last couple of years, various different milestones with that act, where we have to look at are our AI systems high risk according to that definition? And we have to go and build in extra controls, extra governance. We have a very stringent governance structure for all our AI, whether generative AI or standard AI or machine learning, they all have to go through this governance process. So that is very, very key to the culture here.
That's fascinating. And I guess the whole AI arena is changing just so rapidly. And I just wondered, looking forward, what is it that excites you about, AI and where we're going with this technology?
So I think where AI is really going forward is the personalized experience I mentioned. That's really important. And when you get the more personalized experience, the more AI knows about you, which can appear scary, it can be more predictive for our clients. And we've got the opportunity as a bank of this size to deliver those solutions responsibly at scale. And all of these operations, we can continually to transform them. We can have faster resolution, smarter workflows. We can have more resilient infrastructure. And back to kind of the key point of this conversation, I think, is augmentation. So AI that amplifies human judgment, it doesn't replace it, it amplifies it, enable you to do so much more with less is where I'd say that we're going forward. But it's a it's a really exciting space to be in, and it's constantly changing. It will change. If you'd asked me what ChatGPT was 3 years ago, or maybe even 2 years ago, I don't think I would have been able to answer in as much detail. Who knows what will be in the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? We don't know where we'll be, but it's a fascinating place to be in.
I agree, and I have to say that's really what excites me about just being in this AI space. And in part, that's one of the motivations for starting this podcast is to speak to experts like you and to get a view kind of from the field in terms of what is going on in terms of the state of the art. So yeah, it is a very exciting area. Andy, I'm going to be really unfair. I'm going to ask you a question, which is, if I were to kind of lift and shift you out of this interview and put you into the boardroom of another company, it doesn't even need to be a banking organization, but another company, and they say, "Hey, Andy, we're just getting going on this AI journey, based on your experience, based on what you've learned. Give us some tips. What are the things we should be doing, and what are the things we should definitely, try to avoid or not do?"
Tricky question. For me, I think I would go into that boardroom. I would ensure that the board themselves stay up to date with the changes in technology. It's fast paced. Something this month may change next month. You have to keep up to date. You have to keep embracing technology change, not be afraid of it. I think the really, really key thing that you must do is governance, responsible AI. It's very easy to go off track. You need those stringent governance structures to keep you honest, make sure you are working with your risk partners, making sure you understand the risk and everything is documented, and that these AI solutions that we want to start looking at always have a human being in the loop. There must be a human being who has to look at it, review it, press the button. So I think it's about to me, the most important part would be that augmentation of AI to help the human beings deliver more with less. That would be my take in the boardroom.
And any things that in the boardroom go great, but are there things we should avoid? Are there things that maybe we should not, go down because we're just going to end up in a dead end?
Pick it back to one of your earlier questions, actually. Pick the right processes to automate with AI. Don't pick something that might save the company 30 minutes every year and it's going to cost a significant amount of dollars to invest and create that solution. Pick the repeatable tasks, the high volume tasks, the things that are repetitive, that are boring, bluntly. Work on those solutions first, because it's very easy. If you don't, you have to treat the AI as a normal business case. I wouldn't go and do a normal business case outside of AI if it didn't save much money, if it didn't help the organization. So those principles should remain the same. Should always focus on the business case. Why am I doing this? What's the impact? What's the benefit for the company? That's really, really key.
Andy, I just want to say thank you so much for being part of the AI Adoption Podcast. We've covered a lot of ground in terms of what Bank of America is doing. There are some clearly really interesting examples of how you are applying AI, not just for your clients and your customers, to make the services you provide to them faster, better, and more efficient, but also to make sure that the services that are being provided, meet all of the regulatory requirements and also manage risk, which is a major part of what the bank does, and delivering those services at a high level and to a good quality standard comes through in terms of what you said. But I think what's really interesting is the way in which the bank and the way you explained Erica are using AI internally to augment what colleagues do and the jobs that they undertake so that they can focus on high value activities. And I think that's a message I am picking up from a number of different organizations that I'm speaking to in terms of how AI is being used. And so, to have that very tangible example of how Bank of America is using the Erica system, I think is really fascinating and insightful. So thank you so much for being on the AI Adoption Podcast. I really appreciate the time that you've given. And as ever, I'd like to thank the listeners for being part of this episode as well. So thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate the opportunity. As you said, it's an exciting space to be in and constantly evolving. And what's happening this week may be different in 2 months' time. It's an incredible journey. Thank you.